Your tax dollars paying out lawsuits. It's a growing strain on state and local budgets called tort liability. That's when the government gets sued and must pay a settlement or jury award. In 2025, the state paid out a record-breaking $500 million. That's 5 times the amount of 2021. As the costs skyrocket in Washington, lawmakers are struggling to find a solution.
It's taking one of the biggest tolls on budgets across local and state government right now.
$956 million. That's how much state lawmakers set aside in this year's legislative session to pay out lawsuits against state agencies. It was the largest item of new spending and makes a grand total of nearly $1.3 billion in the current 2-year budget. The majority of those funds covering lawsuits against the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. DCYF taking 62% of that pot, which equals a whopping $800 million. The cases are often horrific, involving child abuse and state negligence.
The state continued to send children like me to the place that could not and did not protect them from abuse.
In January, lawmakers heard emotional testimony from a man who says he endured childhood abuse at a state licensed facility.
They put criminal offenders in with smaller boys who are not criminal offenders, and they put predators and prey together. They swept the results under the rug because they were hurting kids too.
In April, a Tacoma jury returned the largest verdict of its kind in state history, awarding $130 million to the estate of Sarai Brooks. Their attorney providing these photos of the 2-year-old to Fox 13. Sarai died of blunt force trauma in 2022. Her mother and her mother's boyfriend both convicted in connection with the toddler's death. In a civil suit, the jury found the state and a daycare center both failed to act on clear warning signs of abuse. I spoke with the plaintiff's attorney shortly after the verdict.
The state just missed opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and I'm talking about DCYF, to, monitor, verify, and ensure that Sarai was safe.
Over the last several years, DCYF has seen an unprecedented surge in lawsuits. In 2025, DCYF had 1,454 tort claims filed against it. That's almost triple the number in 2024. This follows recent state Supreme Court rulings that expanded the state's responsibility to foster children and lifted the statute of limitations in child sex abuse cases.
We need to have a clear-eyed conversation that there has been past harms to children that are inexcusable, and there are probably harms that are existing right now because we don't have the right supports in place.
Democratic State Senator Yasmin Trudeau says Washington's foster care and juvenile justice systems are falling short. She's not the only lawmaker who wants to take a hard look at DCYF. Republican State Senator Chris Gildon has proposed a restructuring of the agency's staffing.
One of the reasons that some of these tort payments are coming through is because they simply don't have enough frontline workers. They need more boots on the ground. They need fewer people doing the mid-management jobs.
The crushing cost of lawsuits has also put city and county budgets in crisis. Derek Young with the Washington State Association of Counties points to a policy in what's called joint and several liability.
If you're found even 1% responsible, you have to pay for you're on the hook for the full freight.
While jury awards may divide responsibility, if one defendant doesn't have the money to pay up, other defendants are equally responsible for the full amount.
So what in fact happens is governments become the insurer for the misconduct of others.
Young says, unlike other states, Washington doesn't protect itself from runaway costs of lawsuits.
Other states, though, either give sovereign immunity to governments, to protect them, or enact, some sort of cap.
Take Oregon for comparison. It strictly limits the state's legal liability with a set of caps currently no higher than $5.4 million. Here in Washington, the statute simply says the state is liable for damages to the same extent as if it were a private person or corporation.
This is an extreme outlier. Washington is totally on its own.
Without action from the legislature, Young fears some counties could soon declare bankruptcy. Lawmakers are discussing ways to address the state's growing tort liability. And while protecting victim access to restitution is a clear priority, it's a discussion that Trudeau hopes will gain more attention.
There may not be a lot of folks that know about this as a kitchen table issue, but it absolutely should be.
Lawmakers saying lawsuits straining budgets should be a kitchen table issue, but the reality, there's no viable solution on the table right now, although there is some effort. The state convened a tort claims study committee to develop recommended changes. That committee holding its second meeting today and will issue a report to the governor by November. We asked DCYF for a response to this story. The agency points out in 2025, more than 74% of claims filed against DCYF arose from events that allegedly occurred before 2010, and 55% were from before 2000. The agency saying, quote, decades-old events drive most of the claims being filed against DCYF. We are participating in the state's review of torts issues alongside our partners, and we are genuinely interested in what that work produces.